What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about creating an epic life on your terms. And today we're talking about the next chapter, how to start a new chapter in your life. I want to give you a little overview of all the new chapters I've taken into my life. So this is probably one of the last videos you see me do in this apartment because I'll be moving to Madrid. I'll be spending most of my time there for at least a year now. I'm moving there with my boyfriend, but I also quit my six-figure corporate job a year and a half ago. I also made sure that I changed my relationships. There have been so many new chapters in my life, and I realized the more often I actually take something new on, how easier it is to really make the step happen, how much better it becomes from my outlook on life, on my mindset, and that all of this is just a part of me becoming more and more the person I want to be. So today I really want to talk to you about the process of starting new chapters in your life and all the benefits that this entails. See, 95% of all decisions we make in our life are on autopilot, and we make I don't know how many thousands of decisions every day. And if we keep ourselves in the same loop, in the same routines, nothing's gonna change. So this is not just about changing your lifestyle and creating a better atmosphere for yourself. It's also about giving yourself the opportunity to rearrange the way you see life and realize how much power and control you actually do have over your life. Because most people, after a while, they feel like there is no control anymore. It seems like life is just happening around us and we're just bystanders waiting for time to pass. But it doesn't have to be like this. And taking on new chapters in your life is a great way to jumpstart this process and to rearrange your thoughts. Also, when people are depressed, a lot of therapists recommend that you just change your environment, because that way you get to rearrange your neurological system. You get to create a new reality for yourself. If you're always in the old reality, you'll always run on autopilot. And if you stay in the same environment, chances are that you're still running the old program that's been going on for the last 10 years, which includes a lot of limiting beliefs that you might have debunked by now, but because you haven't had a chance to create a new environment, you couldn't use all of those things you learned. And the best part about it is once you start this process of creating new chapters in your life, it becomes your new norm. For me, I'm changing things up so often that I don't even realize that something like this is going on. Changes that maybe took me years, 5 years ago, now I can do within hours. It really can be this effective, and every time you keep making those steps, you keep creating a reality that is more and more in line with who you really are, who you want to be, and how you want your life to look like. We get to fine-tune those things that are not working in our favor. We get to change the way we perceive certain aspects on our life, give them a different narrative, and before you know it, you're living this life you always wanted, and you can create so much more of it. As you all know, we can only create what we already feel. So we have to get to a point where we feel like we have some kind of control over our life, and then we can maximize it. So if you want to start a new chapter in your life, where do you start? You start writing it down. Take a piece of paper. People ask me, should they use Google Docs? Should they use notepads? Best is to really write by hand, because that way you really have a connection from what's going on in your mind to the paper, and it really helps you to process things as well. Once you get things out and once you start writing, you really get it out immediately. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can rearrange this list every single day, but it's about writing it down. And then you start thinking about the different categories in your life, or pillars, how I call them, and how I use them in the Epic Life Masterclass. So where do you want to be in your job situation? Are you being appreciated at your job? Are you getting the salary that you think you deserve? Do you feel like your gifts are actually coming out? You have a chance to show who you are, what you are about, and is it getting better? Do you feel like there's progress in this? Or is it just a thing of, oh, I'm staying at this job, and then naturally after a couple of years, I get a promotion, or even if you don't, that's just part of it. I'm just going there to pay my bills. You don't have to change your job necessarily, but you have to write down what you want in that job. What is it supposed to bring you? What kind of feeling do you attach to it? Once we know that this is what we want out of our job situation, then we get to decide, how are the other parts of my life? Are they going in the direction I want? Is it actually that my job gives me exactly what I want, and all the other needs I have, I will get them fulfilled in other areas? This is not the thing I want to focus on first. Maybe at some point, but not now. But in order to know that, we have to write it down. We have to have an overview of where our life is today and where we want it to be. Please just get a notepad out and start writing. It's not enough to just think about it. Have you been thinking about it the last years and your life has changed tremendously? Great. But if not, and you want a new chapter in your life, you're ready for the next step, then really start this process. Write it down. You'll see what a big of a difference it makes. I didn't believe it, but now I know it does. Start writing things down and you'll see what big of an effect this has on your mental state. The one thing that is the most important in this entire process, your mindset, your outlook on life. You have to know where you want to go. Write it down. How about the passions in your life? Have you been, for example, somebody who has loved to dance, but your current reality doesn't reflect that? Well, then it's time to start. And if you start going to classes and you feel like, oh, that's too boring, or there are not enough people there that I like, maybe then step your game up. It's not about saying, oh, this is not for me. Maybe then it's time to really do a crash course. Maybe it's time to do a dance vacation. Maybe it's time to jump and head forward and you really take on this challenge, this new chapter of your life. You have to be the one who takes control and who says, this is for me, this is my life, and I want this in my life from now on. How about your relationships? What are you actively doing to change the relationship dynamics in your life? Do you feel like an outsider? Do you want to have more social interactions? Then what can you do? What kind of social groups care about the things you care about? I'm sure there are things in your city, and if they're not, you'll find them online. They're huge communities, and once you start committing yourself to having this in your life, to creating the social environment that really gives you the strength of feeling alive, then you find the resources, then you find the people, then you find the community. You have to be the one who takes control of this, and if it doesn't exist, then you create it. My life hugely changed once I said I want to take control of this part as well. So I made sure that I met friends once a week, and I'm not a person who likes to hang out in big groups. So I made sure that with one of my friends, I go to lunch at least once a week. I have written in my calendar family time on Sundays. I'm always with my family on Sundays because this gives me the strength I need. This gives me the joy to keep on going. I need to have these pillars and parts of my life in my calendar, and I have to make sure that I stick to them. I made sure that I work out. I made sure that my health is on point. I made sure that I really invest in the things that make a difference in my life. When I felt that my job had run its course, then I said on Saturdays, I'm always going to write applications. It's about doing something you've never done before. What is the next step that you can take? The greatest things always happen outside of your comfort zone. And now it's time to start that. You can't do everything all at once. I get that. But first you have to be aware of what areas exist. Most people are completely overwhelmed and they don't know where to start because they don't have an overview over the most important things in their life. But if you write them down and then you think of them really high level of, I want to have a more exciting social life. I want to have a better paying job. I want to have a bigger challenge in my life that I can take on and conquer. Maybe I'll do that within my job, or maybe I'll do it in my passion because I love to dance and I'm going to start dancing competitively. Whatever it is, you have to first write it down, and you have to look at it also from an emotional standpoint. What is it you want more? Do you want more passion? Do you want more freedom? Do you want more excitement? Maybe you want all of them, but what do you want in what area? I personally want in my family and my relationships more calmness. This is not the place where I need the biggest excitement. I want to have the excitement in my passion and my business. That's who I am. But that does not mean that this is who you are. You know exactly what kind of emotions you can attach to all of those things. But you need to start building it all up. It's like you have this mass and then you start creating it. Of course, in the beginning, it's not going to be this perfect vase, but you need to start somewhere. You need to have a form that you can then adjust and fine tune, because if you don't have a form at all, nothing is going to happen. Be satisfied with having a bad looking vase in the beginning, although it might not look perfect. See, when I started this channel, I didn't like all that I was doing. I didn't like the lighting. I didn't like the way I felt about myself. I didn't like the way I spoke. But I knew that this is the direction I need to go in order to become the person I want to be. It's about getting yourself out of the comfort zone. It's about being willing to take on challenges and to take on failures, because this is part of the process. It's really about saying now is enough. Now I'm taking control of my life and really making those steps happen. Write those goals that will lead to the next chapter in your life in your calendar as reoccurring events. So as I said, Saturdays between 2 and 4 o'clock, I'm gonna write an application. I'm gonna send out an application each week. That's my goal. I wanna be proud of myself by the end of Saturday. I wanna know that I'm taking care of myself because I know the job situation I'm in right now doesn't satisfy me. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what will bring me more satisfaction, but I know that I can't keep going the way I have been going because my life hasn't improved and I know it's run its course. I know I've reached the point where I really have to change something. Write down your dance lessons, write down the times you're gonna work out, whatever it is, take on those challenges. The more you teach yourself that you can improve, that you're willing and able to stay on track, the more challenges you wanna take on, the more you get excited about the next chapter. And before you know it, you're living this life that's full of passion, full of creativity, and you can't wait for the next chapter that's gonna create even more freedom, even more excitement, or even more calmness. Whatever you want, you have the power to change all of it. And aim for one new chapter a year. Things that you actually want but you haven't taken on yet. So I, for example, always postpone my relationship pillar. I always told myself I'm not there yet. I'm not willing to take the steps to change the way I look at life in order to get a relationship that was actually beneficial to me, in order to tell myself that I do deserve better things, that I do deserve somebody on my level who actually pulls me up. I needed to take that on. And in a lot of ways, I was not ready for that for a long time. I knew first, I wanted to quit my job. I wanted to create a life that then I can have a partner with, because I knew the way I was living my job, I was working 60 hours a week. I was never home. I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew that this job is not going to be the thing I'll be doing for the rest of my life. So it didn't feel right for me to look into a relationship that I can incorporate in my life when I knew that this part of my life, which was huge, is going to come to an end. So I made sure that first off, I'm gonna make the jump into being my own boss. And then I started taking on the challenge on finding my relationship. And this really helped me to get to the next chapter of my life, of now moving to Madrid, of now living with my boyfriend in this new apartment and this new life that will give me all the benefits to create even more of who I want to be. It doesn't have to happen all at once, but I knew that this is still something I needed to change. I knew what I wanted. I knew that these are different areas of my life I need to tackle. And it was okay to do it once after the other, but I never left sight of it. And there are always things you can change, you can improve, you can take on a new chapter. And even if you feel your life is great, every time you get to create a new chapter, it does not mean that you have to move to a new apartment. It does not have to mean that you change your complete life or you quit your job. It can be that you take on a new challenge in your passion. Whatever it is, every time you take on a new chapter, great things happen. They do happen outside of your comfort zone every single time. And the best thing about it is it really helps your mindset so much. I feel so much more alive once I started taking on these chapters, because now I feel more than ever how much is in my control. I know that there are things I cannot change. I know there are things that I just have to let go, but there's so many things I get to control. And the more you do that, the more you feel alive. The more you feel like you are creating this life of yours. And that's what makes us feel so alive. That's what makes us feel so happy, accomplished, and like our life has meaning, because we give it one. We make sure that we create the life on our terms, because if we don't, then it's going to be created by the people around us, by the environment we live in, and it will not be the life you want. How can it? Nobody outside of you knows what you want. Nobody outside of you knows who you want to be. So the more you create it, the more you have the chance to wake up in the morning and feel happy. Be satisfied with your life and be in a good mood, ready to take on the next day. If you want to have some more inspiration, definitely watch the video on the 5 self-love habits that changed my life. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.